Good evening. Welcome to the Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, January 24th, 2023 meeting. If you're dialing in on a phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. We're being taped by MCTV, if anyone's interested. So, I don't have to do a call to order, do I? Because is Feeney on there?
Feeney on there? I don't know.
Steve, you out there?
Steve is not.
Okay. So we don't have to do anything.
I'm
Right.
here.
We're all here. So I'm going to start with the new hearings. 23-03, Thomas Lahr and Stephanie C. Bowman. The petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1302C.01 and 305-1012 and a variance in accordance with 305-10-11 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for relief from 305-607 to construct a 4-foot by 161-foot pier, a 3-foot by 30-foot gangway, a 10-foot by 20-foot float on the property located on Ferry Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel 116-15-05 and is located in the R3 zoning district. Name and address for the record.
All right, thank you. My name is Jeff Hassett. I'm a civil engineer with Morse Engineering. Here on behalf of the property owners, Thomas Lahr and Stephanie Baumann. They own the property at 46 Preston Terrace Road. Preston Terrace is on the left side of the page, or on the west. And their property is made up of 3 lots with 2 paper roads that run through it, being Peabody, which is not constructed, and Ferry Street, which is more of a dirt path in that location. And they have 275 feet of frontage on the South River. We're here seeking a special permit for the floodplain district and a variance from section 6.07 to construct a residential dock. The dock is made up of a pier, which is 4 feet wide by 161 feet long. At the end of it, there's a removable gangway that's 3 feet wide and 30 feet long, and that runs out to a float that's 10 by 20. We have the float centered on the lot and in a location where there's 2.5 feet of water at low tide, which is required by conservation. And it's 64 feet to the channel, so will not interfere with the channel. Being centered on the lot, it's about 127 feet to the property line on either side, so plenty of setback there. We feel the dock will not be substantially detrimental and that the design and character matches that of the other docks that have been built in the area recently. This has been approved by the harbor master, and then conservation. We had a meeting with them. The only thing we were waiting on was that at that point the harbor master had not signed off on it. So with that, I'll turn it over. And then following local permits, this will require approval from DEP Waterways and Army Corps of Engineers.
Anything, Andrew, you want to add anything? Other than your recommendations or?
Yeah, no, I went out to a dog walk with the Conservation Commission and the harbor master, the engineer, and the owners. I witnessed everything. I was shown the location of everything. I expressed my concerns about storing floats in the marsh area or below the base flood elevation in the off season. The owner seemed very understanding of that concern, and I don't have any. They have an active floodplain permit too, so everything's all set for this one.
Okay, thank you. Bob, you have anything to add? Anything from the board?
Andrew, with that storing of the float, was that addressed? Did he agree not to store them in that area?
He didn't necessarily agree to do it, but I think he felt that that was a smart thing to do and the right thing to do from about it. We don't have a specific regulation about it. We don't have a town bylaw prohibiting it. The Conservation Commission does not prohibit the storing of floats on the salt marsh, but it's evident that they create damage when they get loose. So in the winter storms. And he seemed to understand that. He did not want any damage to happen to his new dock, and he did not think it was unreasonable if you're going to remove your boat at the end of the year to remove your float.
Has that been part of the conditions with the other docks, Brian?
I don't think it has, but it's a practical matter. If you don't remove it, you're probably gonna lose it.
Yeah. I just think common sense should
Yeah.
prevail.
I don't know that anybody really, in a tidal river where there's a good flow and you don't pull that out and there's ice in there,
It's gonna go away.
Yeah.
it's like the Titanic hitting the
Okay.
dock, you know?
And then,
Yeah, there were a couple other floats in the area that I looked at that were tied down, and one was tied down to like a frayed rope that was tied to an old engine block filled with concrete. Another one was chained to a big, huge old timber that had like an eye bolt stuck in it. That was just stuck in the muck. So it's not like these things are properly anchored, but we don't have any distinct regulations that specify anything about it. So until we have any specific regulations, the CRS committee and I are recommending that all residential dock floats be stored outside the flood zone or elevated above the base flood elevation.
Okay, thank you.
Anything from the audience? Anything from the audience online? Okay, seeing that there isn't, I will move to close 23-03 Thomas Lahr and Stephanie C. Bowman, Ferry Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Mark Wallen, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
All right. I guess, does anyone want to discuss anything further, or are we good?
No,
Yeah.
Tom, like, when do they?
Oh, they'll wait for our, and then they'll give us
yeah,
their
and
decision.
I think it's common sense. The guy's not gonna wanna lose his brand-new float.
Right,
He'll pull it out of the water so he doesn't lose it.
right,
I mean,
I agree.
I don't think we need to get into that. So I'd like to make a motion that we grant the petitioner's request for a special permit for the piers, docks, and floats under section 10.10 and 13.02 C1, subject to the conditions that the construction of the pier, the gangway, and the float, as shown on the plan dated December 14th, 2002,
2022.
2022, thank you. And that, as they've demonstrated, they meet all the requirements of the aforesaid section 1010 and 13.02 of the bylaw.
So do we add in, this project requires a building permit and a final as-built? The CRS committee and I recommend that all residential dock floats be stored outside the flood zone and elevated above DEFE during the winter off-season. Second?
Mark Wallen, second.
All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Mark Wallen, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Read part two. Speak
And
better.
move that we grant the variance, the dimensional variance for the just mentioned docks, piers, and floats.
That goes in the conditions. Start.
And that the applicant has demonstrated they meet all the requirements. Section 10.11 of the bylaw, specifically, the project requires a building permit and final as-built. The CRS committee recommends that the docks and floats be stored outside of the flood zone or elevated above DFE during the winter off-season.
Second?
Mark Wallen, second.
All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Mark Wallen, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
All right, we're all set.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have 2304 Michelle Collins.
Aye.
I gotta read it in. So in accordance with 305, 10.09 of the Marshfield Municipal Code, the petitioner is seeking an appeal of the building commissioner's determination that the proposed use as an eating and drinking establishment is different than the existing non-conforming use on the property located at 62 Beach Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel M05-05-86, is located in the R3 zoning district. Name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Michelle Collins, and I live at 41 Park Street in Green Harbor.
Go ahead.
Thank you for having me tonight. This is a whole new process for me. We had the opportunity to walk through this building. We saw that it was up for lease. It's currently a catering industry, which we had considered as well for our business. But after doing a lot of demographics and checking out, our community, we found that we could create a healthy juice bar, offer Hornstra products. I've talked with Allison Hornstra, have a fresh farm stand, and offer kind of more fresher, cleaner foods for our community. And so when I started this process, I actually started, I had a head injury. I was hit by a truck a year and a half ago. And so I've had a lot of surgeries this past year, and I had a lot of issues with digestion. And so walking and kind of thinking about how to get back on our feet and give back to our community and not have to travel, because after my accident, I've had a hard time driving. The idea of it literally being a half a street away for me to walk to work, to give back to our community, because I have, been very involved in our community for almost 20 years. I've been on the school council, I've been a PTO president, I've been coach of the year for Marshfield Youth Soccer. My daughter is now 20 and a junior at BSU. She had to transfer to come home to take care of me, and she did her classes online prior to, and I shared this in our little kind of spiel, that we sent off to you. And I'm sorry it's a little rudimentary, but we're still just figuring out all of the signage. My daughter is going to partner with me. She actually created this sign. We've met with Andrew. Andrew gave us a lot of great direction. He understood that, going from a catering business to this type of business is going to require a few steps, which we're prepared to do. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about taking the appropriate steps. I was a chef before my daughter was born. I had worked in many restaurants from Newport to Myrtle Beach. I owned an event catering company down in Myrtle Beach. And so getting back to this will be allowing me to bring back a little bit of, stability for me and my family, but also, the convenience of being in my community, our beach community. This has kind of evolved into now offering this type of service to our beach community and friends. The food bank, like the food pantry, has helped us a lot this past year. Same with sewing seeds. And we used to be a contributor. This past year, because of our situation, we had to actually depend on our community to help us. And so getting to know the process and how much our community gives to people like myself and other people that are in need, it kind of opened my eyes up to thinking differently about how to give back and also get back on track. So I talked with the sewing seed folks. I've talked to the food bank. They weren't able to get together for a board meeting, but I'm going to be giving 10% of all of our proceeds that we generate from all of our fresh meals back to the food pantry. So we're trying to, create something in this space that, we respect the owner. We respect the catering company that's there right now. We respect our community. I'm sorry that I had sent so many emails. I don't know if you guys saw the package, but I normally would not promote this publicly. We've been trying to keep things, under wraps until we could figure out the process. But I had the opportunity to talk to Andrew and to get some steps. And I got to speak with Heidi, getting permission from Andrew, and she kind of gave me some advice about reaching out and getting some emails. But I have the support from the Philpotts that own the Lobster Pound. I have the support from the general store, the Habels. They gave me a lot of great advice before I came here. And they also are supporting me. A lot of their family wrote me personal letters. Some of their children are going to come work with us if this comes through. Becca Stack actually goes to BSU, and she had her professor of nutrition also write a nice letter on my behalf. And so I'm just trying to understand the right steps, because I've had a few references, which Andrew would tell you, and I'm happy to talk to Andrew directly. Hi, Andrew. He helped guide me with references, and he took 2 meetings to meet with me to tell me how to go about this process. And I know it's a process, and I know it's not something that it's just a yes. I know that we're gonna have to do a few things to get to where we need to be, you know, to align with having a successful business, but also to be welcomed. And so, you know, working with the Philpotts, working with the Habels, and working with Andrew, they gave me a lot of support and direction with how to go about this, and I'm open to figuring out how to make this possible. I understand, like I said, there are gonna be steps, and so that's what I'm looking for tonight, is to figure that out with you folks. So, thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any of them.
Okay. Andrew, would you like to give us your opinion?
Yeah, so
I mean, obviously.
the way this came about was I got submitted a DBA business certificate for a new business in that location. I actually never knew that there was another business in this location. I thought it was just the post office there. And it wasn't until this DBA certificate was submitted that I knew that there was a business there. Once that was done, so the job as zoning enforcement officer, when I get a DBA certificate or a DBA request, is to make sure that that business is appropriate for that zoning district, you know, that it's proposed in. So this location is a residential district. It's an R3 district. So it has a pre-existing non-conforming use. It actually has two non-conforming uses. One is the U.S. Postal Service, and that is considered retail and service use number 15, which is government offices and post offices. And then the second business there, which is what is proposed to be changed, is Shucks. The Shucks Seafood Catering. So that is a raw bar catering business that services at weddings, parties, and other special events. And that is considered a retail and service use number 11, which is other personal and consumer service establishment. Both of those uses are prohibited in the R3 district, but are pre-existing non-conforming uses for this location. So the DBA certificate was submitted. I reviewed the zoning bylaws. The business was described as a Mediterranean cafe for fresh plant-based proteins, pantry items, sustainability products. They indicated that there would be food handling at the location. So when a non-conforming use is proposed to be changed to another non-conforming use, I go by the bylaw here. And so any non-conforming use of a structure may be changed to another non-conforming use, provided the changed use is not a substantially different use. As determined by the zoning enforcement officer. The term substantially different use is specifically defined in the bylaw. So it is a use which by reason of its normal operation would cause readily observable differences in patronage, service, appearance, noise, employment, or similar characteristics from the use to which it is being compared. So that is the reason I made this determination. I determined that a catering business which accepts product, prepares product, and then takes that product to a different location and its employees at a different location perform a service. And from a restaurant or cafe which would prepare the food, sell the food, serve customers at the site, those people would be leaving the site with the food from that location. So there's going to be a difference in patronage. There's a difference in the type of service. Currently, there is no outdoor signage on the frontage of the building. There is a delivery kind of sign on the back corner of the building. So the appearance would be different. I believe noise would be different. You know, the amount of people going to it, the type of employment is different, and there really aren't that many similar characteristics, okay? So by the black and white definition, this is definitely a substantially different use, and that is why I made the determination, because the proposed use is a retail and service number 3, which is eating and drinking establishment, not including a drive-in. So, like I said, those I felt in each one of those aspects of the definition, there was a substantial difference from the one non-conforming use to the proposed change. And that's why I made this determination. I proposed to Michelle that she could apply or appeal my determination to the ZBA, as I felt that that was a more appropriate way to get relief. As my job is literally to go by the black and white, and relief is supposed to come from the ZBA. They determined that it is something that they feel is not substantially different or not detrimental to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Bob, you have anything to add?
No, I think Andrew's right. I think this is a change in use. And because it's a change in use, I think the board should, it's up to you ultimately to decide that question, but I agree with Andrew, it is. And, we've had this situation before many times, different types of non-conforming uses. People want to change it to another use. I mean, this isn't in the evolution of a business. This is actually a change in use. We have a provision in our bylaw authorizing a special permit, which is a standard that's attainable. The board has fairly regularly granted that special permit to allow someone to change that business, particularly where it fits into the neighborhood based on the character of what the changed business is. And I think Ms. Collins just has to apply for the special permit. And I think that the board can routinely, review the matter and consider an approval.
Okay. Anything from the board?
So I just want to disclose that I did have a conversation with Cheryl. She called me at the house. I said to her, because it was on the 24th on our docket, I was not able to have a conversation about any specifics. And then I gave her some history of Green Harbor, that years ago it was an ice cream shop owned by Katie and Michael Moss. And then prior to that was Fee Bond owned it, and it was a variety store and a meat market, I think, a butcher shop in the back of it. But that by no means gave any indication that you did not have to come to the zoning board, which was reiterated to me. So that was the only conversation we had about it, that I just gave her specifics about Green Harbor that she was not aware of.
Heidi, you don't have to answer these questions, but I'm curious. Do you have a time frame for when it was those prior uses?
Yeah,
Butcher shop?
yeah, and I was like 5.
More than 30 years ago?
45 years ago, it was.
I didn't want to out her.
That's okay, I'm okay. 45 years ago, it was an ice cream shop. So I was just giving her history of Green Harbor,
Yeah.
and, just so she knew that, years ago, this is what it was, but by no means was indicating that she did not have to come here, so.
And a family friend of mine also had a plumbing business in there as well over the years. There's been vast amount of businesses gone through there, different occupancies altogether.
Well, they also said I was concerned about, there's a lot of foot traffic over there, going to the beach and the beach parking there, and it's dangerous. People backing out, that there's not parking over there, that the post office ended up taking out more of the space of that building once the ice cream shop left, and that it's tricky down there.
Ms. Collins, do you have a lease?
I do.
Okay. And then the second question that I have,
I think I provided also insurance, also because I think on the lease it only said 500,000 and I opted for $1 million. And I also told Andrew that I wasn't looking for seating. It's more of a grab and go, so even if it's too odd to have people sit in there, we just really wanted to provide a farm stand, fresh, clean foods, and we wanted to cater to the people that were parking at the beach parking, and we also have a plan to work with the post office in the off-season to do more gift boxing and some fresh online sales as well. So we have all the certifications moving forward. I just needed to be able to get the paperwork so that we could finish, all of our permitting, all of our certifications, for handling food, and so that we can, comply with everything that's needed with the Board of Health. And I did walk through, and I have looked at the electrical. We're not using any heat services. We're not using any gas. This is all blenders. This is ice machines. It's clean, fresh food. So,
I just want to get to kind of the crux of the zoning
sure.
issues. Do you agree with what Andrew said, that what you're proposing to do is substantially different from what's being done today?
Yes, I defer to Andrew because he's the professional, and I'm looking for guidance to do all the right things.
Then, having said that, I think that the next step for you, and I'm just speaking for myself, the next step for you would be to apply for the special permit to permit that change of use.
Okay.
And then we'd go through the special permit criteria, and that's when what you're saying now would be, I think, a little bit more relevant and apropos
Brian,
for that
if
meeting.
If I may, Brian, I think you're wrong there, respectfully. So you can, I have it up on the screen right here. You can extend and alter an existing use, okay? That is allowed by special permit. What is prohibited, if it can be changed, provided that the changed use is not substantially different. So you, as a ZBA, have to appeal my determination of a substantially different use in order for them to have the special permits alter it.
So what are you saying? It's a two-part process. We need to,
It's a two-part process. You have to uphold her appeal of my determination in order to get the special permit. Otherwise, she can't even apply for a special permit because it's a prohibited use.
I'm not sure. Bob?
I read the bylaw differently.
Okay.
Alteration means change. Alteration can be of structures or uses.
She's not looking to change the structure. It's an evolution of a catering
Says
business.
any non-conforming use may be changed to another kind, provided the change is not a substantially different use determined by the building inspector. But there are circumstances under which Andrew has the discretion to approve a change in a non-conforming use when it is not substantially different. But we have a different provision in our bylaw that allows the board to approve the alteration or extension of a non-conforming use. So that's the provision that gives Andrew some discretion. There's another provision that gives the board the discretion to approve an alteration or extension of a use.
So Michelle, would you be interested in applying for a special permit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Nancy, when would she be able to do that by?
Wednesday by noon,
But that would put her when?
February 28th.
So we could extend this meeting, continue this to the 28th if we
Don't you have
want.
to handle this first?
doesn't this need to be addressed?
I think the board should just hold it open until, now you have 100 days from the date she applies to act on her appeal. I think you should hold it open, and then if she agrees to submit the application for a special permit, you could then act on both matters on the same night.
I agree, myself, but,
Then you don't take an adverse action that
right.
has some other consequence to her, that forces her hand to have to do something, and, you can consider the matter open.
I think that by doing this, we leave it open so we can receive more information from Michelle, and we can also get the information on the special permit, which can help us to determine what we have in front of us.
Is that clear?
Does anyone have any questions from the audience? Speak up.
Steve Lynch, 50 Central Street. Right now, in the morning, when I drive my daughter to high school, I have to stop at Remax to get her morning breakfast drink. And after school, when I pick her up, I got to drive all the way to Pembroke to get her. This will make my life so much easier to be able to go to Green Harbor to get her protein drink.
And that's what
You
we're here
teasing
for,
us?
Steve, to make your life better.
You gotta make a condition that Mr. Lynch has to shop there every day.
Every day.
And spend at least $50 every visit.
Anyone else? Name and address for the record.
My name is Patricia Hoxie, and I live at 70 Beach Street. And I wanted to say that I do admire any new entrepreneur who's willing to start a business. I do not believe that 62 Beach Street is in the right establishment for this endeavor. Let me tell you why. Board of Health, there's already a rodent issue from the marsh and the coyote population is picking up. My concern is waste management and how that will be handled. Is the sewerage covered under such a different business? What's the restroom situation? Next is the noise and hours of operation. Is the ordinance for noise levels? Will there be seating? Is 62 Beach Street approved for that? And lastly, parking. Are there any bylaws or ordinance for restaurants there? There are only 2 allowed parking spots for that address. They will seriously impact the residents who go to get their post office where they pay for their box. Parking will impact the homeowners in the residential neighborhood. If someone decides to park in my yard and somehow they get hurt, where does that leave me? I'm not interested in taking on that responsibility. Will there be deliveries made there? And also, as Ms. Conway mentioned, that in the summer, it's extremely hard to get in and out of that post office. Parents are taking little toddlers down the beach. If people are going in and out of there and not stopping to see these little kids, you literally have to stop all the time. Adding more congestion will certainly make a scary situation worse. So, thank you in advance for your patience, and if you have any...
Would you mind submitting your questions to the board? So we can have them to review? Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
I have 2
You
copies.
can give them to Nancy over there. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Who else would like to speak?
Folks in the back.
You had your hand up first? Either one of you.
Hi. I'm Nancy Monahan. I live at 4 Genevieve Lane, which is really the first house on Assumption Road. And I agree with everything this woman said. I have a big concern over parking, especially in the summertime. That parking lot is full of people. They pay to park there. I don't know if she knows that there is no parking allowed on Assumption Road, and it hasn't been for over 40 years, and I don't plan on having the town change that for a business. Also, when it was a catering business, I do not believe that they were in there cooking and serving people. They were carrying that food out, so that's a big hazard for mice and rodents to be running around. I think it's a danger to our marsh, and people will be walking down the street with paper cups and napkins and trash and flinging it like they do now. We see beer cans and all kinds of trash at the edge of our marsh, and it's only going to get worse. I don't think it's a good idea. I think her idea is wonderful, but not at that location.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Harry Klebanoff. I live on Assumption, and
What's the
I think
address?
I'm sorry?
Exact address, please.
52 Assumption
Thank you.
Road, I'm sorry. And I think one of the first things Andrew said was very significant, that he didn't even know there was a catering business there. And that speaks to that there wasn't an increase in traffic, there wasn't an increase in anybody, and I think his name was Brown, whoever it was that owned the catering business at one point. But he was hardly ever there. My concern is for the traffic that this is going to bring, not just because of the beach parking, but this is an area where even this time of year, there are kids on bikes, kids on scooters, people walking dogs, people pushing carriages, and they go around the block. It would take them through the access road and up Beach Street. And if you have cars coming around Beach Street, pulling into the parking lot where the beach parking would typically be, you're asking for a problem because it's a blind corner anyway. There's going to be a major increase in traffic there in the summer because kids are running towards the beach. And I just felt like the reason I needed to talk about this was not because it's a bad idea, but the same thing that was just said, that it's a bad location. It's an accident waiting to happen. And whether it's adults, older people, walking, biking, nobody is expecting cars to come flying in to get takeout coffee. Everybody's in a hurry to get somewhere anyway in this world. And that would be my biggest concern. I think, you know, I'd love to see Michelle's business somewhere. I would probably be a customer, but I wouldn't be a customer here. I just don't think it's the right location. I'm very concerned about protecting kids, protecting the people that are walking, biking, and it's an accident waiting to happen.
Thank you. Anyone else? Name and address for the record.
Yeah, Diane Jordan, 15 Bancroft Street, Brent Rock. So I put, president of the Brent Rock Village Association, I put this out on some Marshfield Facebook pages to see what people thought about the idea. Brent Rock Forum, Green Harbor Group East Marshfield Forum, and the Brent Rock Village Association page. So we had over 250 people in favor of the business. So I put all the specifics. One person did comment asking about the parking. But I think that Michelle talked about that because she said it's a grab and go, so they're not, I don't think she's planning on having people park there and come in and eat or anything. So, but I assume like when she does her special permit, those things would be addressed. But just to give you a better idea of what the people in the neighborhood in Brent Rock and Green Harbor actually thought about the plan.
Thank you. Is that it for the room here? Go ahead, name and address for the record.
My name's Roger Welch. I'm the owner of the building, Green Harbor Post Office.
How long have you owned the building, sir?
I'm sorry?
How long have you owned the building?
About 40 years. So I've seen it all, though. If you want to see a picture of what it looked like when I bought it, and what it looks like now, you'll notice it's changed.
I was a kid down there, I remember
In
it.
fact, I knew when there was an ice cream store. The only thing you forgot of all of that list of things was also the guy that sold all the black boxes. I had to move him out when I bought it. Some of you younger people may not know what the black box is.
They don't know the cable.
Free cable.
Yeah.
I have talked to Michelle, and I support her opening a business there. I've dealt with all kinds of parking problems down there. I mean, we can't close the beach parking and stop all those people from walking by. But I just don't feel it's a bad idea, and I think it'd be a good business for the area.
But sir, you don't live
and it's-
there.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Okay.
The post office is my primary tenant. They're gonna be there for another year and a half. After that, I don't know whether they'll be there or not. They've talked about possibly doing some other things, the post office. We all know what the post office is going through throughout the country. So I came here tonight because I want to see what this was like, because I may be here in 2 years talking about what's gonna go in where the post office is.
Okay, thank you.
It's just the way things are.
Do we have anything from the online audience?
Yes. We got one written comment up here from Pamela Christus.
Okay.
She mentioned that if Steve Carell can get zoning changed up in the hills, that's a different situation there.
Yeah, we're aware of that, so there's no need to explain.
That did not need a determination on that one.
Thank you. So the online,
Yeah, Brian Lenahan, 7 Marginal in the corner of Beach Street. I love the idea of another restaurant within walking distance. I dread the idea of it being in that location. I mean, every day, we're new to the neighborhood. Last summer was eye-opening. I'll definitely say that, for the amount of traffic, noise, and for the people, just parking in front of your house. So if it's grab and go, the parking lot's filled, they're parking on my grass, running over, grabbing it, and going. Nothing more than I would like. I go to the general store every time I'm there. I go to the coffee shack every time I'm there. I go to Mamma Mia's. I love the fact. The comment of putting it online and 250 people said, yes, I guarantee not one of them lives anywhere near it. Brant Rock isn't Green Harbor and isn't on those corner streets that's going to be most impacted. So I just wanted to say that. I mean, the kids are there. I'm watching cars speed by. We probably called the police, I'm going to say no less than 15 times last summer because of speeding, because of congestion, all right there. The other months, fantastic. The lot's wide open. It's going to be great. For the months where everybody's down there, I think that's where the concern should be. And, Michelle, best of luck. I hope it's somewhere I can walk to, and I hope it's somewhere that I can, utilize your services. But that location, to me, it's a tough spot.
thank you. Anyone else online? Seeing there isn't.
Can I speak real quick to this, Brian?
Sure.
I think, my view on this, it's been a retail-type business forever, since I was a kid in Green Harbor. So I can remember going to that store for many different things. I personally don't see the intensity being that much greater than what's already there. I'm sure this catering business, his primary time of year was probably during the season that everybody's concerned with. I could see this business, I'll be straight with you, I'm from the other side of town. I can't see me driving down there to patronize you because I'm just not down there. I could see the people in the community and the people that are utilizing that parking lot going to the beach utilizing this. So as far as increasing the intensity of the business in that area, I'm in disagreement with it. I don't think you will be.
Thank you. And that's how I feel. I'm not trying to not be mindful to my neighbors, and I'm happy to answer all the questions that were forthbrought because I have thought about all these, and I've also thought about you folks very much too. We're not looking for outside eating. We'll put up 5-minute parking for the 2 spots that we have in the front, and we want to service our neighbors. If you read all of the emails that I had provided to Nancy, thank you, Nancy, thank you for all of that. I try to gear all of my neighbors from Green Harbor, and you're going to see those in the emails that I submitted to you that are direct neighbors, even right across the street from there. So hopefully you'll have some time within this time period to, ask me questions. In regards to trash, we're using compostable. We're using all bamboo and palm based, so if it gets tossed out, any of our products, it is completely plant-based. And it will compose. We're also using Lomi, and Lomi is actually a machine that you take all your food and all of our wraps and all of our containers, and you put them in one machine, and it becomes soil. So I've been extremely mindful during this time of my healing and seeing this location about every process from the parking, because we want to utilize the beach parking and all of our wonderful neighbors. I've talked to Dr. Borstel. I've had very long conversations with mindful people that have been very involved in this community, from the schools to the youth soccer. And I actually even have a daycare that is interested in me doing all of their lunches and snacks for 5 different locations. So I'm getting a lot of business already, and I'm not even open. So I'm trying to go off of whatever is best for our community. And our mission is to be mindful consumption, and that's with the food we present, that's with what we offer for our products, that's with how we package and ship, and even we're going to be bringing a tremendous amount of business to the post office. I've actually had great support from the post office, and they have also told me where their parking is, and that didn't stop me because I want people biking and walking and using the town parking during the summertime and utilizing us in the morning for their protein or their fresh pressed juices or their schmears or their Hornster products. I want you to be able to walk right there and get all that you love that's been missing in our community. And hi, Dottie. I had a nice talk with Dottie, and we have parking in their lots. We have parking in the beach lots. We're the town of Marshfield. Everybody has a beach sticker that wants to be floating around in all of our spots. So I'm trying to be mindful, but I'm encouraging walking. I've even looked at putting solar on this building, and Roger has been very kind to say, I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to be mindful. And the mindful consumption is that I'm willing to work with every part of what everybody is saying to me and making sure that they feel comfortable with how we move forward. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're here to help our community and build. And I've been part of the schools, as I mentioned, for a long time. I was PTO president for 4 years at Furnace Brook Middle School. I've worked with a lot of different communications, and we've tried to do a lot of great things for this community. And I just want to keep doing that.
So with that said,
Yes.
we understand and we get it, but I think we need to continue this and move on to the 24th, and I think we need to be mindful of the comments that were made.
I
And
heard.
even though there was 200 comments online, they were commenting about your business, which is a great idea. They weren't commenting about the area and where it's located. So I just want you to be mindful of the whole picture, and I think we just need to continue to the 24th.
I agree. So you've heard all the questions
I
that
did.
people asked, and Nancy has
I
anything you
invite all
need?
of you, if you wanted to
Sorry.
have time to come visit the location, to
28th?
see how easy
Nancy?
it's going to be a turnkey for me.
February 28th.
We're not looking for construction, we're not looking for outdoor. We're just looking to put some peel and stick wallpaper up and really make some cool creations that are healthy and mindful.
All right, so I'm going to move that we continue this
the
meeting
28th.
the 28th of February. Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Mark Corwin, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Heidi, call me aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And would you reach out to me with all the things I need to do? And
You go
You
through
gotta
Nancy.
reach out to Nancy,
Okay,
and she'll tell
super.
you
Thank you
exactly.
for your time. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for sharing your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We live in a great community.
Can I just jump in for a second?
Yep.
He's online.
Did we need him? Did we,
Oh, we'll have to do a roll. No, he can be in this last one.
which is what?
Steve, you're on there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so now we'll have to do a roll call. Brian Murphy here, present.
Larry Keane here.
Mark Corwin here.
Brian Sullivan here.
Heidi coming here.
Lorenzo here.
I don't have that.
All right, thank you.
Are we doing half?
Yes.
There's a variance and special permit.
Copies of just some of the things.
Yeah, we denied the variance.
Thank
We-
you. Just so if anybody needs it.
Brian forgot to address the special permit.
Yeah, it's my fault.
I said Brian.
Wednesday morning. That's fine.
So we have a missing thing now. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Continued, thank you. Continued hearings, 2299, Brian and Daniel Gardner, 45 Hatch Street, it's a special permit. I don't have to read, it's already read in the record, right, Nancy?
Already in.
Okay.
What's about stuff?
Good. Go ahead, name and
Yep,
address
I'm
for
Dick
the record.
Rockwood. I've done the architectural work for Ryan Gardner, here, the owner.
Ryan Gardner, 45 Hatch Street.
And we had come here at one point looking for a variance, but the board was not necessarily in favor of that. We also, at that evening, had applied for a special permit, which was left open. So I've done a little research and thought that the board might consider our request on just basically under a special permit. I've been made aware of another project. If you remember the project, and I'm not sure if everybody was here that night, we are trying to put a garage with a master bedroom above it onto this property. And where are we here?
That's not
No, that's not this house. This is a project that I wanted to refer to the board that was approved. It was on Ferry Street.
Well, do you have the plan for what you're proposing?
Yes,
Can we get to that?
Yep, we'll start with that. There you go. So what we have here, if I may, I think this might be easier. So this is our frontage. As you come down Hatch Street, the road goes and turns like this. So it's very awkward conditions, but that is our frontage that we have. It's an R1 zone,
two.
R2 zone, sorry, 15-foot side, 40-foot front. So because of the configuration of this lot, our house is back here, the original structure, and what we were proposing to do is put a two-car garage with a master bedroom above, because they need more bedroom space, and that seemed to make the most sense. It's also very awkward here, parking between them and the neighbors next door. The whole area is very tight. Our house that we have right now does conform. So,
Right.
yeah, here it is right here. So there's that configuration of the lot. This is Hatch Street here, where it turns. So this property line is not right, it's actually back here, so you'll see that corner coming in on the lot, on the site plan. So what we did was we took an average of all the abutters on this street, and the numbers are up here. I mean, no one's anywhere near close to the 40-foot. I believe we're looking for a 26-foot setback right here. There is a building here on the side that's close, a garage that's coming down, and will be 15 feet, so we'll conform there. But because of the, now his property line is really right here. Because of the awkwardness of this point coming in, when we come in here, we're only 26 feet, we're not 40. We'd be 40 from this, but it's just the way that position comes in. So if you look at all the other neighbors here, They're
Well, no, the
about
setback.
18, 19.
40
Now,
foot
we
setback.
didn't do it on a survey drawing, we just took knowing where his front was on the lot here and with what we had, and it pretty much went down the sidewalk and just took shots of where those houses were. So give or take a foot or so of accuracy, but that's where everybody else in the neighborhood, and this house right here is the same thing. They're all very close, and this is some old school property back here, or whatever that,
The Alamo.
the Alamo, so, whatever that is, I don't know.
It's the Alamo.
It's the Alamo.
What is it used for?
Storage.
Storage and stuff that needs to be leaked on.
Grow things in that building.
Yeah. Mold.
They just
different
cut 'em all
stuff.
down.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it doesn't conform. I don't know, I mean, this is a drive-through here, but as far as what street, but, you know, that's, Hess Street stops right there.
It used to be called W Street. I don't know if it still is.
So, but it's all the same configuration. So, you know, our case, unlike Situate, for example, has that regulation, you can be the average of the butters very clearly on your side of the street. Marshfield doesn't have it except for one situation where it refers to if you have an empty lot. So there was a project that came up Ferry Street, which was the other drawings that we started to show here a minute ago, that was approved a couple of years ago, where they were rebuilding 3 houses on the corner. I don't know if...
Andrew, do you have the Ferry Street project?
So on this one, this house was allowed to be, this was the existing dwelling, and this house was allowed to be moved up to the average of the butters on the other side of it. And there is a stipulation in the bylaws about doing that, which I think there's a copy of here too, that allows you to do that. And one of the things it says, provided that if it's an empty lot, then you could bring that house in between to the average of the butters. And I think that one was worked around because they were gonna tear the house down. But it doesn't say anything about, well, if you tear the house down, when they came to zoning, there was a house there. There was a house there existing. Yes, they were gonna tear it down, and to me, and I know there's some maybe some legal differences there, at what point is it an empty lot, but I've always looked at it as if there was a footprint there, then that footprint is good for 2 years. For example, like if that house.
Well, if they tear the house down, it's an empty lot.
If you tear the house down.
Yeah.
That one
If the
day.
house is there, it's not an empty lot.
Right,
But
the
if-
house was here
But
when
if
they
you
went to zoning.
if you apply for relief saying,
Right.
it's an empty lot because we're going to tear the house down, then the board can act on that.
Right.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with what we got there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying that we want to tear our house down in order to do this, but.
Are you comparing this because of the
relief that-
averages? Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, we're going,
Okay.
yeah, we would
But
like
the
to just.
bylaw doesn't permit you to do that unless you tear the house down. So again, you're back to needing a variance versus a special permit.
Well, how about Andrew's comments here? Andrew's comments, do you have it in front of you?
I haven't seen those.
45 Hatch.
Mhm.
You want it? Pass it down?
We have them here.
You have, right? Yeah.
Would you like to read it?
Yeah, please.
I have that back.
Thank you.
All right, so, Andrew, do you have anything else to add other than your comments?
No.
Okay.
We had also acquired letters from all the butters, you know, showing what we were proposing to do. They were all in favor from every one of these addresses that were here, so I think we
Right.
turned those into Nancy.
They're all in favor.
If that swayed anybody's,
Do we have any,
Give us some relief on this, you know?
do we have any comments from the board?
Yeah, again, I see no issue with this myself. In the community, I've gone down there a couple times. It's a tight little lot, it's a tight little area. I think housing's an issue. Last time you were here, you had expressed a concern that you liked the neighborhood, you liked the community, you wanted to stay there. The 10 years you've owned the house, your family's changed, your needs have changed, and, you know, anybody can sell,
Exactly.
it's hard to buy, so this would be the best thing for you to renovate this property. And I think that's what we're here for, and I personally...
Do you guys have anything? No? Any, Mark?
I'm, same thing with Larry, I'm good.
So I didn't get Bob's comments from before. They were, what were they? There wasn't,
He just said, I don't know, he didn't give us any new
oh,
comments.
okay. Basically just, no
So-
guidance.
Do you have any questions for any?
I wasn't here for the last meeting, but why was the variance denied?
They didn't see the hardship.
Okay.
The hardship.
So
They- The board consensus was
It's
that
what-
they didn't
what
reach
was
the level of
Do you remember
hardship.
what we voted on that? I don't even remember.
It wasn't a supermajority.
It was 3-5, or 3 to...
3 to 2, I think.
3
It was
to
only
2.
I had 3 in favor. We
Didn't have
needed the
4.
4.
All right.
Right.
Okay, so,
Again, I go back to, even with these variances,
So,
Yeah.
so the issue right now is the setback from the front setback because of the,
right,
Yes.
because of the location of
Right.
the house.
well, let me address the hardship thing again. The hardship to me, we just approved the dock tonight, and we gave a variance on a dock, okay? And I have not heard the board once, or anybody, say what a hardship is to allow a dock. A dock is a permanent structure encroaching on a lot line. We give a variance to allow that. There's clearly, to me, no hardship there. It's a want. You want to have a dock. I'd want to have a dock if I lived on a river. It's an add to the property. It's going to add to the financial value of this property. But it's a luxury. It's a want. It's a desire. It's not a need. This, to me, clearly meets a need. He needs it. He needs consideration from the board, and he's presented his hardship as to staying into the community and staying into his location. His housing, to me, is a hardship. And that's where my opinion on a variance with this situation comes.
There's also the sharing of the driveway that is a concern for us, with a 2- and 4-year-olds running around. There's no definition between the driveways, and I know that.
Under
discussed
48,
last time.
Section 10, the hardship has to be to the lot, not to the homeowner, not to the applicant. The hardship is to the lot.
Then where's the hardship for a dock? Tell me.
The hardship is the Marshfield zoning bylaw doesn't permit a dock absent a variance. In Mass General Law, Chapter 91 says, if you own
where's the
property on
hardship
the
on a
water,
dock?
you're entitled to a dock. It's the problem is the Marshfield zoning bylaw needs to be rewritten as it pertains to Chapter 91 to get it in compliance with the state law. But
This man
absent,
doesn't have time to
absent,
wait for a bylaw to be rewritten. He's in
Well,
front of the board for
no,
consideration.
we're talking.
Well, we're
you-
still
you-
under
you
special
asked-
permit
You
right
asked
now.
about Chapter 91 and where it conflicts with the
Can we put up the
Marshfield zoning
housing plan?
bylaw and dock. In terms of the
Andrew, can
hardship,
you put the housing plan back up, please?
Do you have
one was it?
The plot plan, item?
Do you have the front of it by any chance?
Let's see the addition, what's his
Okay,
plan
so-
is.
Picture of the
Just
front,
to see the whole
that it would
thing
look.
in its entirety.
Well, the front elevation?
No, just like the picture of the addition, how it would look.
Sure, what's that?
I don't know what you mean.
The blueprint.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'll bring it up in just a second.
Okay.
He can bring that up, too.
Steve, do you have anything to add?
I don't have the drawings.
No, not this time, Brian, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing, with the board giving consideration on something like this, I'd love for someone to show me where the negative is. What's the negative for the town? What's the negative for the community? What's the negative for any of these abutters? Crickets.
Okay, so Larry, I don't think it's that we think this is a negative project. I think it's just that with what we have to work with, it just makes it a little bit tricky. I don't think anybody, it looks beautiful. I don't think that's what we're talking about. It isn't what we're
We
talking
get down
about.
to, again, the addressing the hardship. Clearly, things have changed since the bylaws were written years ago. I think I'm considering housing being a hardship. That the gentleman has said he wants to stay right where he is. And the cost of construction, the cost of moving, 40, 50, 60 years ago, you could have said, well, I'm going to sell that house, I'm going to move over there in Marshfield. Well, right now, there's probably 10 houses in Marshfield. So if he sold this property, would he be able to buy back into the community? Therefore, I think housing is a hardship. He reaches the criteria for me for housing as being a hardship. This is only a special permit. Andrew's for it.
Andrew, can you go back to the drawing, that shows the street from the GIS? All right, so the way I look at this is basically your standard overlay district, which means that you took an area that probably had 10,000 square feet or 20,000 square feet as the standard for building, you overlaid it with an acre, and leading to the problem that we're in right now, is that there was no relief given to these people that have the homes already built. I look at that other thing that shows vacant lot as, tearing a house down, but we don't give relief. I think it was designed for this specific purpose, but it doesn't give relief to an existing home. Like, you can clearly see the homes on that street. They're all different sized lots. It was overlaid with an acre, and the setbacks, like some of them are right on the line, or, I just don't see, for me personally, the 40-foot setback was created for anything built after, which would say, trying to give you a subdivision that you look down either lane of the subdivision, everything is clearly behind 40 feet. I just don't see the benefit or the advantage to doing that in this area. It's gonna be, how we word this under a special permit, we'll have to figure that out, but I personally think this is okay. I don't disagree with this.
So that's all hatch, that,
That whole right side,
Is
and
that still
obviously
hatched?
the one
Sorry,
house
paper road?
on
This
the
one
left
on the little
side.
left there.
right. Thought maybe we could do that corner thing.
Once again, that line next to the garage is not the proper line.
Yeah, it's like a L shape.
I can just see how close every one of those houses
Right,
is to the street.
it goes right there.
Even on South River, they're all really close to, at the end anyways.
I don't know.
And you share the driveway with 51, correct?
Yeah.
And it is a hardship with the shape of with that lot, with the frontage.
Well, that's tough
It's
frontage.
non-conforming. That's why we're here, so.
Almost doesn't exist, but.
And the woman that lives there is completely in favor. She loves watching.
So, do we have anything else from the board?
It's 34 feet, he needs 40.
Anything else from the audience? The audience online? Nothing? So Bob, or if you want to address this, Brian, how would we make a motion on this?
I mean, you don't want my opinion, right?
I don't want, well, I mean, you've given your opinion. Sure, yeah, we do want your opinion.
I mean, it's not a vacant lot.
Right. No, I'm
And
aware
I'm
of that.
sympathetic that the board feels that maybe that there's another solution that we need to have happened, but it doesn't exist in our bylaw right now. And it's true, there are a lot of towns that allow you to use the average of the homes on either side in order to lessen a setback requirement. But, when they connect the garage to the house, the principal structure then is located in the front yard setback. It's legal the way it is now, or it's legally non-conforming, but when you change it and you put it in the front yard setback, and you don't have a provision in the bylaw that authorizes it, it's not permissible by special permit. Even if it's beautiful and everybody likes it, and it's popular and everybody wishes it was so.
So if I do this in the affirmative, we would vote.
If you want to grant a special permit, you make a motion to grant the special permit.
In the affirmative, and then, but if you're against it, you would vote.
You'd vote against the granting of the special permit.
So you'd vote nay.
Correct.
Yay
A yes
for-
vote
Yep.
would authorize it. Nobody challenges it. Then it survives. It's the wrong relief, but
I'm aware, but I have to make some kind of a motion.
yeah, no, you make a motion to grant, get a second. Any further discussion, take a vote. And a yes vote authorizes it, and a no vote says no. You know, we've had problems with our sign by law for years, and for years, the zoning board of appeals used to write a dissenting opinion in all of their decisions saying, we think that the planning board should change the bylaw and allow more liberal signage. They used to do that all the time.
Okay.
No, if this doesn't get approved, he can't come back for.
He can't come back for a
Unless there's
variance because the
substantial
variance
change
was
in the drawing,
denied.
like if he redrew his drawing.
Right, so I'm saying, should
Yeah.
he just maybe?
He just has to make a change that is different than what we saw.
It has to be a material change.
Yes.
Then he needs permission from the planning board and then the zoning board.
Right. Well, yeah, we already turned down the variance, so it doesn't matter. It's still 2 years anyways, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, so I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's request for a special permit for the proposed addition located on 45 Hatch Street, subject to the conditions. It'll need a building permit, certified plot plan, certificate of occupancy. On a plan dated, we have that plan number?
Revised 9/9/22.
Revised plan from Stenbeck and Taylor dated 9/9/22. That's everything, so do I have a second?
Larry Keane, second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Larry Keane, aye.
Yep. Sorry, everyone can vote, then we'll stay with the,
Well, shouldn't you pick?
well, it's the five,
What?
it would be the five of us. Feeny, you voting on this, right? Steve?
I could, you five can go. I'm here. I don't mind if you five go.
Mark
Okay.
would be in.
But there's 6.
So, go ahead.
So
Larry.
who's voting?
Larry
Larry?
Keane, aye.
We
I'm
can
in
vote.
favor strongly of this.
Mark?
Mark Quillen, aye.
Shouldn't they pick who's
Heidi?
voting before they vote?
No.
I don't know who's voting.
Aye.
No, thank you.
That's 5.
I'm gonna say aye, so.
4 out of 6.
All right, Bob.
Which of the 5 members are voting on this?
Larry, Mark, me, Heidi, and JJ.
Okay, I just needed to know who was voting.
It's 4-1.
All right.
All right.
I missed the vote because I was talking to Bob, so who dissented?
That would be
Heidi.
me. It's not that I don't like it, but we just don't have the permission
I understand.
for it. Okay, we done?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we have any other business?
Approve minutes.
The minutes? Okay, Larry, oh, well. Do you have the,
Yeah,
does
we've
Larry
already
present
done.
those?
Minutes approved as written?
Thank you, Brian.
There you go. Second.
All those in favor?
Larry
Aye.
Keane, aye.
Mark Quillen, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Hi, Tom, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Thank you. So now we can adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Mark Quillen, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Hi, Tom, aye.
Steve Feeney, aye.
Thank you.